Hi everybody, welcome back. It's January 14th, 2023, and once again we're going back to the moon using the Worldwide Telescope. The pictures that are on the Worldwide Telescope, particularly of the moon, are by far the most important astrophotography pictures available to everybody right now. There are no other pictures that come anywhere close to bringing us the type of things that we're seeing on the moon, particularly on the poles of the moon. This week we are on the North Pole. We haven't come to the North Pole for quite a while. Ben Pellom once told me that he thought the most interesting cities were on the North Pole. So this is where we are. And yes, we have a city for you. Last week I also had a city in that video, but it was a little hard to see. You definitely had to study it to try and get the definition so you could understand what you're seeing. But I'm in a crater here this week, and we're just going to take one section of this crater, one little piece, and this is the area that we're looking at. Now I get a lot of pictures out of this. It's amazing how much there is, right? I mean, just one little picture out of this whole area. This is it right here. It doesn't look like much, and this is what we used to get. This was all that I was able to get before, but now I've able to get in closer and clearer, and it's just getting better and better. So hopefully we'll keep doing that. Now, one of the things I want to say, now some of the buildings in these pictures are really beautiful, these very large white buildings. It seems like some of the structures that they build, the large white ones, tend to be larger than a lot of the other ones, and they group the white ones together. It's a really a beautiful look, don't you think? Now, one of the things I wanted to say about the pictures you're going to see here, you know, this is an incredibly 3D place. There are so many extremes in what is high and what is low and what is what. It is hard to see. It's really hard to get in there and perceive the 3D, the areas that are tall, the areas that are low. But I've given us a lot of time on these pictures, you know, and really you could probably take more. Once again, I'll say that you should pause it and study. But this is one time really in particular when you should pause it and study the pictures, because it is extremely rewarding, especially when you can get in there and see the differences on altitude. You know, how groupings of large buildings are up high and right next to them it's very low. It's just really rewarding to when you start to see that. And I'm going to try and point out a couple places in particular. But it seems like, generally speaking, that some of these darker areas are the lower areas. And sometimes you'll see a row of buildings that are very well, I was going to say tall, but they're a row of buildings together, and then if you look right next to it, it appears to be so much lower. So I guess what I'm saying is that you know, this is a 3D world and a 2D picture, and then you throw in just the grayscale, and it makes it hard. So, but take some time and look closely, you guys. It's definitely worth it. And this is not unlike other places that we've been. The population density is unimaginable for several reasons. One is it's unimaginable. It's just too many people stuffed in together that closely. The other unimaginable thing is, you know, all of the questions that we've had before, particularly regarding infrastructure. food, waste, etc. I think, I've come to the conclusion that yes, the moon is hollow, and these structures on the surface can access the inside of the moon by going down to the basement. Yeah, just walk down the stairs and you'll get in there. They say that the crust on the moon is 23 miles thick. So I guess they just have, shafts that go straight down onto the inside. Who knows? But it makes sense. Now, right here, coming up from the 6-7 o'clock position is, forget it. We'll have to go back and look at that. It's just one of those places that I was going to try to point out the 3D look. Looking at the center of the screen just to the right where it's dark in there, it's a low area, and right next to it there are buildings that rise up. Now this is kind of an unusual picture. It's blurry and you're not supposed to look really specifically, but if you look in the center of the screen to the right of center is a white grouping of structures that is raised up above the dark area around it. And as I said, don't focus too much on this. Just sort of glaze your eyes over, and it will give you a blurry impression of the fact that this grouping of white buildings is up above all of the rest of the area around it. I don't know. I just wish there was a way that we could turn a 2D picture into 3D. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. Maybe there's a way. I've heard a little bit about it from Jimmy Roberts. I haven't looked into it, but he seems to have something that helps create a 3D look. And it's probably much more complicated than I'm willing to spend the time to learn. There's other things more important that I could do that won't take me so long to learn how to do. So probably not going to do that. Another grouping of white buildings off on the right and down towards the bottom of the screen. And you'll see a lot of buildings, as we've said before, where you see a building with the black stripe across the top, presumably a window. And it's hard to believe that we're getting these pictures out of what I showed you in the beginning. It's quite amazing what can be done with these computers on zooming in on something that you think is absolutely nothing. It kind of reminds me of, looking through microscopes. You don't think you got much there, it doesn't look that interesting, but you get in on it really closely, and wow, it's a whole new world, right? Whole new world. Now there's this striping, these towards the left side of the screen, there's a flat area with these black stripes, black and white stripes, and up on that flat area, it looks like there's about 5 cylinder-shaped, I don't know, low cylinder-shaped things. Maybe they have flying saucers sitting on them. Maybe they're landing pads. I don't know. Interesting look, though. Over on the far right here in the darkness is that one dark area, is one very tall cylindrical black building. And once again, I'm going to have to apologize for all the folks who are trying to watch these videos on an iPhone or an iPad or something like that. Without a doubt, the larger the screen, the better. So if you can get this on your smart TV, I really recommend doing that. But I want to say, if you are going to use your smart TV, I want you to have a remote control in hand that you might adjust the picture on the TV. Now, each one of these smart TVs has, we'll call them filters, where it'll say something like cinema or vivid, sports, all these different looks. And frankly, not you know, you'll have to find the best one for these kinds of pictures on your TV. I have one TV that really struggles with this black and white. And on the other hand, my less expensive TV handles it just fine. So I just want to say, have that remote control in your hand ready to go, because you'll want to adjust the picture almost for sure. Yep, a lot of people here, and you kind of get a feeling, or a feeling when you look at this, of bars. We've talked about the bars in the past. These are kind of like bars, but not exactly. They're not as developed, or at least they're not developed in the same way as other bars in other pictures. You see a lot of structures that are sort of pyramid shaped. That's very interesting. They kind of build them up in levels, so kind of like a wedding cake, right? The bottom section is the largest. Next section up is smaller. Next section up is smaller. Yeah, actually, I've seen quite a bit of that. And the light-colored buildings, I think, tend to be towards the top, right? And the dark buildings tend to be towards the bottom in a lower altitude. You know, it's been pretty amazing. So in the short time that I've been narrating this video, I've paused it probably no less than 15 times for noise. 15 times. Boy, oh boy, talk about losing your train of thought. Now right here on the right hand side, you see a cylindrical building, a tall cylindrical building. It's the largest cylindrical building we've seen in the area. It's light in color with a black stripe around the top of it. And it's coming in from the 3 o'clock side. And there it is, just right of center now. That's a fairly large cylindrical building. And I like to point those out really because they're kind of cool looking. But the other thing is you know, whenever you have a cylindrical shape, you know, that's the death nail for pixels. So you're not dealing with pixels whenever you have, you know, circular or cylindrical shapes. And so this is just one tiny piece, probably one, I don't know, 1/50th of this crater. So the entire rest of this crater presumably looks just like this. That's a lot of buildings in that one tiny area, I gotta say. And you know, I've asked the question so many times, how come we've never seen this? Well, this is on the poles. We don't get to look at the poles. So maybe that has something to do with it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video.